All right, so I got a copyright notice on one of the songs I played, so all I can do is torture you. It's my dad's birthday. This is one of his favorite songs. I've spent a lifetime making up my mind to be more than the measure what I thought others could see. Luck and fast bucks are too far and too few between. Cadillac buyers and old five and dimers like me. She stood beside me, letting me know she would be something to lean on when everything ran out on me. Fence jars ain't whole cards, and like is not, never will be. Reason for rhymers and old five and dimers like me. It's taking me so long, and now that I know, I believe all that I do or say is all I ever will be. Too far and too high and too deep ain't too much to be. Too much ain't enough for old five and dimers like me. An old five and dimer is all I intended to be. Happy birthday, Dad. He would have been 91 years old today. 91 years old. Hey, everybody. I'm going to go down these because by the time I start going back and forth, I'll lose all these messages. CC Ryder is number one. How are you? ESK. Thank you. Hey, John. Hey, John. Hey, Adam. Hey, the one. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Dennis. Nan's attic or Nan's basement? Nan's 777. Hey, Pilot. The crashing markets sideshow. Let's see if they're crashing. I don't believe it. I think you saw the lows. I think you saw the lows. I mean, it's possible, you don't know. Problem with predicting things is you're going to be wrong. It's possible there's a hedge fund or two in trouble and they could be blown out tomorrow morning. But let me sign in so I can look at some of these. I hope I don't get another. Darn it. Darn it. It's taken me so long, and now that I know, I believe. Reason for rhymers, old five and dimers like me. All right, so the Dow is down 866. Normally that would seem like a lot, but that looks like a relief compared to what happened. Yeah, I'd still say that you could see a panic tomorrow morning if a hedge fund is in trouble somewhere. We won't know. Anybody that says they know, they don't know. GBUX is $9. Rlaif is 26 cents. Fngr is $1.34. I think it's holding up very nicely. SMH, did you see that? Now, I may have called it, I don't remember, I was so tired, but I was saying as an example, you could put orders in under SMH. And I forget, I might have gone so far as say, put one in at $155, but I think I said 165, 170. Maybe I said 175, I don't remember. But as it turns out, that stock opened at 173, went down to 170 and snapped back. It's 180 now. And it was as high as 194 today. That's the kind of trading you can do in these volatile times. And that was just the one I came off the top of my head yesterday. I don't follow a lot of these good stocks. So GBUX is 8.99. Are you out of your mind? Nixie is 163.5. It's taken me so long. Now that I know, I believe. Futures slide after Trump threatens China escalation. Oh, Lordy. What Trump's trying to do is, I think one interpretation anyway, since Bill Clinton and the third way crap, we've basically financialized our steel mills, our automobile manufacturing, our medical, our computer technologies, our factories, our energy, everything we've financialized. And it's moved to China. And it made bankers rich. I mean, you've seen the movies. Blue Star loves Blue Diamond, Blue aircraft carrier. And so in that environment, we talk about free markets, but there are no free markets. The banksters take the risks with massive leverage. When they lose, they come to us. That's not a free market. There's no public market for stocks and raising money. It all goes through a handful of men on Wall Street. There's the illusion of a stock market in the over-the-counter market. And Adina Friedman deludes herself. She thinks because she doesn't have a penis that she doesn't have to do a job. The VIX is pricing in a recession. They don't know that. But I do think the market, look, there's no question that when you disrupt and this started before this tariff announcements, when you disrupt the just-in-time supplies, we're on the when you start a war in against Russia, Valerie Nuland, Blinken, grandparents, Jews from the Ukraine. Zelensky apparently is a Jew. I don't know. It's just all this fighting and bickering, and we get involved. Nancy Pelosi flies over to Taiwan, and she's in her dotage. And then I'm not thrilled with Trump siding with Netanyahu, who I think is a war criminal on the scale of any of the Germans that got hung in Nuremberg. But when you have those kind of geopolitical risks, you spend money under the modern monetary Stephanie, what's her name? You just print money and get rich. Such female thinking. Men are capable of female thinking too. It's just disaster. And so in that environment, when Trump says, look, we have supposedly the world's, we have our Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines out there protecting the world's sea lanes and et cetera for free trade. How come we're the only ones paying the tariffs? Make no mistake, he's trying to even that up. And we have to bring manufacturing back here. We can't even produce Jeep. We can't go to war. Our Jeeps are produced in Turkey. A lot of our crap is produced in China. I mean, anyway, let's not go down that road. Oh, Bibi Netanyahu's back here. The lying mother. Jamie Dimon urges quick resolution to tariff standoff. Richer than hell. Asian market suffers biggest market loss ever, except for 1987. Now that makes sense. They're the markets that have protected their own markets against us. And they still, to this day, there will come a time when the consumer markets in India, Southeast Asia, Russia, Middle East, Africa are bigger than the United States. But right now, I guess partly because the dollar is the world's currency, we can just print it. They need us to buy their made in China crap. Wedbush cuts Tesla price target. All right, let me see if there's anything. I gotta go get my eye checked. China retaliates with tariffs and trade restrictions. Obama encourages student protests. Schwab steps down. Did Trump deliberately crash the stock market? The crash was more than just stocks. All right, let's see if Trump deliberately did it. That's an interview. Question to Martin Armstrong. Do you buy this claim that Trump is crashing the U.S. stock market by 20% to force the Fed to lower rates so that money will go into treasuries? Is he breaking the London metals dealers' hold to suppress the gold price? Lastly, Do you buy this idea that Trump and his Secretary of Treasury wish to revalue gold and reestablish Bretton Woods? Answer, well, that's a mouthful. Look, his computer, Martin Armstrong's computer, projected this correction a year in advance. It's not the news, guys. The computer projected this correction a year in advance. Here is the Dow monthly timing array from September 2024. It showed the turning point in November, which remains as the highest monthly closing, a turning point in March, and a panic cycle in April. This was before Trump even won the election. At the November World Economic Conference in 2024, I stated that I wish Trump well, but it did not matter who won. This would not prevent the recession into 2008. Nobody but nobody can crash the market deliberately. Absolutely. When I was called into the Brady Commission to investigate the 1987 crash, which I remember, I had a really big day that week. They started with this, and my clients made money. They started with the same fictional nonsense. We are going to find the short that caused the crash. I said, look, every investigation since 1907 began with those same words, and nobody has ever been found. The government cannot create perpetual prosperity using Keynesianism or Marxism any more than it can support a market. The Fed tried during the Great Depression and failed, as did the Japanese government, who tried during the 1989 crash and failed. In both cases, they made it worse by giving false hope that the government can save the day. They cannot. This is Martin Armstrong, I met with the Swiss Central Bank and warned them that the peg would break. As I did with the British government, I was told they could hold the peg. And I said the odds were on my side since nobody has ever been able to hold that tiger, hold that tiger. The peg broke, and I was named Forex Person of the Year. Trump has not deliberately crashed the stock market to get the Fed to lower interest rates and sell more treasuries. Come on. First, the assumption is that these people are smarter than they are. And second, that they have unlimited power. These are all symptoms of playing the victim, which was the theory of Karl Marx. If either of these assumptions were true, then I should not be called in by governments worldwide. Why call me in if they possess superior knowledge and power? They are no different than the rest of us. Well, the rest of you. I'm in my own special category. As long as people make up these conspiracy theories, they are not just feeding propaganda that prevents people from understanding how the system really works, but they are supporting the theories of Karl Marx that the government has the power and should use it. That's the Democrats' dogma. Elon Musk states at this cabinet meeting that the reason he is there is to reduce the cost of government because the debt is unsustainable. He states that the interest expenditures now exceed defense spending. Lowering interest rate is not a long-term solution. You cannot continually running these deficits. Stephanie Kelton, Modern Economic Baloney Theory. Oh, I'm the modern woman. I can do it all. I'll get up. I'll make breakfast. Make sure my kids get to school. Zoom in by helicopter to work. And I'll teach that all we have to do is print money and everybody can rich. We can even it up. We can pay reparations. We can make sure that everybody of every color except white males who are straight get ahead in life. All you got to do is print money. Why do we have to pay the price for modern feminism? I'm not against women having equality and all that, but this kind of feminism is crap. Could the rest of the minorities out there start rebelling against white women? How the hell did they get to the front of the line? They're all idiots. Stephanie Kelton. You cannot continue to run continually run deficits. This will all come crashing down when the line at the door to buy treasuries no longer forms, when nobody wants to buy them. Then you get the sovereign debt crisis and default. Scott Bessonette, on the end of central planning and the new coming world order monetarily, while Bessonette mentions a reorganization of the world monetary and trade system in this video, I'm not going to play it, prior to his becoming the Secretary of Treasury. See, this is English. I don't know who's out there that has a grasp of English like my sister or my sister-in-law or others. But what he actually said, while Bessonette mentions a reorganization of the world monetary and trade system prior to him becoming the Secretary of the Treasury, it's not right. It should be, while Bessonette mentions a reorganization of the world monetary system prior to his becoming the Secretary of the Treasury. I think. He mentions Bretton Woods, the Treaty of Versailles, and the International Steel Agreement. The Treaty of Versailles, 1919, the treaty primarily focused on ending World War I and imposing punitive measures on Germany, rather than comprehensively regulating international trade. It did include specific economic provisions, reparations, and economic restrictions. Germany was required to pay massive reparations, which of course go to the banksters, which strained its economy and limited its capacity to engage in international trade. The treaty also mandated the surrender of German merchant ships to the Allies, meaning that Germany couldn't participate in trade. Resources and territorial losses. Germany lost a bunch of stuff. They lost access to waterways. Some provisions required Germany to grant preferential trade terms to some nations, the League of Nations role. Consequently, the Treaty of Versailles did not systematically regulate international trade, but it imposed economic measures on Germany that had an impact. That's another one, indirectly impacted. It's just not right. Your teeth are impacted. Your mama is impacted. But measures on Germany that indirectly impacted global commerce, it's just not good. It's not good English. Broader trade frameworks emerged later through other agreements. The International Steel Settlement, I'll skip that one. The single currency. The euro was an attempt to resurrect the idea of Bretton Woods with a single currency. They pushed Britain to join and even staged a coup to remove Margaret Thatcher. I didn't know that. John Major took the pound into the European Monetary Union, and that collapse made Soros rich and famous. Eliminating floating currencies is incompatible with politics as long as they are free to engage in deficit spending and endless borrowing. I'm going to skip the bunch about Napoleon. Napoleon created the first single currency in Europe since the Roman Empire. Napoleon created a single currency. I'm skipping all the... It was Julius Caesar who conquered Europe and created a single language and monetary system. I'm going to skip all that. Even at Bretton Woods, John Maynard Keynes had proposed creating the overarching international clearing union, which potentially every nation would join. This would become the new reserve currency called the Bancor, B-A-N-C-A-O-R. I remember studying that. It would be used for international accounts. And now we have the SDR. Oh, here he says that. The IMF created the SDR, the special drawing rights, which was not the equivalent to the Keynes Bancor, yet it represents a pragmatic adaptation of some of the principles. Here, this goes into some of the theories that you guys ask about. Europe is still very much living under mercantilism. Kohl took Germany into the euro, denying the people the right to vote because he assumed that a single currency would increase Germany's sales of products to the rest of Europe. This is a concept of mercantilism. The prevailing object under mercantilism is to twist mutually beneficial international trade to a one-sided advantage. This is the neoclassical economic view where economists agreed that the science was settled and that free trade was safe and effective against mercantilism. Currently, some believe our trade deficit is destroying significant segments of American industry and eliminating badly needed jobs. They totally ignore that the consumer, who protects overpriced labor, which reduces the standard of living for the whole. They argue that this is happening because we have embraced free trade and do not pay attention. Poorly written. Keynes wrote in his original proposal that the basic principle of the necessary equality of credits and debits, of assets and liabilities. If no credits can be removed outside the clearing system, but only transferred within it, the union itself can never be in difficulties. That's a mercantile system. Bretton Woods operated for a while and was an improvement on the Cold War, the gold standard. However, France in particular remained hostile to Britain and the United States under de Gaulle. They envisioned that France would rise to lead the world if France had gold reserves. France was eagerly buying up dollars and redeeming them for gold, which eventually broke the back of the entire Bretton Woods financial system. This throwback to mercantilism and the gold standard undermined the system. Meanwhile, nobody in Europe understood that what made the United States the reserve currency was not gold. It was the American consumer. Germany needed to see its cars to sell, it says see, to sell its cars to America, just like Japan did. As long as the United States was the major consumer-based economy, it had to price goods in dollars, the system did, to sell them. When Bretton Woods collapsed in 1961, and the president said, "Nix on that," and the dollar remained the cornerstone of the world economy, the brainiacs needed an explanation for why they were wrong, the French. Newsweek came out with a theory in 1975 Newsweek said it's because oil was priced in dollars. That was the answer, and I was taught that. This continued to confuse people ever since. The biggest reason has been right in front of their large noses, and they have ignored it. It's the consumer. I'm going to skip a bunch. In summary, calculating trade numbers involves collecting data from many sources. It's complex. I'm going to ignore all of this. Understanding trade numbers requires the recognition of the complexity of global systems. All right, got it. I helped the Japanese and Biden. All right, got it. The New York Times just takes the opposite position of Trump, no matter what. That's true. They spout the same Democratic propaganda from the 30s, claiming that tariffs caused the Great Depression. Some 9,000 banks failed, and that was caused by sovereign debt defaults. That was caused by government debt defaults, not tariffs. 9,000 banks defaulted. I'm sick and tired of hearing the lies. Programs like MSNBC, programs like MSDNC are polarizing the country and destroying the very foundation of the United States. The tariff did not cause bank failures. It was sovereign defaults. They tried to omit these defaults from the history books because this narrative did not support their agenda railing against evil corporations and supporting socialism to survive. Just as they report nothing but hatred of Trump, Hoover was a Republican, and they just tried to destroy the Republican Party back then too. All right, I'm going to skip all the Ukraine and communism and leftism and isms and isms. A top White House economic advisor said on April 6th that more than 50 countries have contacted Trump to initiate negotiations. People were shocked that Israel, here's the one we're supporting. We're bombing the bejesus out of the Middle East on behalf of Israel. We spend $19 billion to Israel. People were shocked that Israel had tariffs on U.S. products. They don't care about us. These Zionists have a goal and they inch it forward every single day. They deflect, they distract, they send that mendacious lying, if that's not redundant, scheming asshole Netanyahu over just to distract us. Let me ask you this. If we're going to bomb Iran out of existence because they have nuclear weapons, shouldn't we bomb Israel out of existence for the same reason? Why does Israel get nuclear weapons and Iran can't? Why? Because whatever's good for Israel is what the American foreign policy is. Are you tired of it? People were shocked that Israel had tariffs on U.S. products after everything we do for Israel. What Trump is doing is the only way to reach the goal of truly free trade. All right, he's got more articles. I'm going to skip them because his writing style doesn't translate into particularly That's so funny. I was saying last night, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater and everything. The title of this article is Bathwater, Baby, and Silver. The crash is handing us an excellent buying opportunity in gold, silver, and miners. All right, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to go to your questions. Hey, Kenneth. It's my dad. It's my dad's birthday today, but thank you very much. His name was William, too. Good afternoon, William. In spirit, I love that. Spirit of Lucky. I miss him all the time. Happy spring. How is the real estate market in DC? I'm not optimistic on an MMTLP Nexbridge settlement. Soon, anyway. But I do highly recommend listening to Junk Savvy and Busy Brands and the coterie of capable comrades that they have on that call thrice weekly, basically. So don't listen to my view. But people have not moved their shares to Nexbridge. So my understanding, as many as 60 million Nexbridge shares go unclaimed. This was a paid-for effort to come on the Twitter Spaces and confuse the hell out of people. And it worked. It's paid for. It's a paid-for effort by the criminals. So this gives one argument to the criminals apostrophe lawyers to say, hey, we at fill in the name of the brokerage firm, we at Fidelity stood ready for 3 years to fulfill the requests, which, second point, Fngr put out in the fact sheet that the responsibility to ask for the shares, I disagree with this in an honest system, but this is what they put there. It's on the shareholder to ask for shares rather than on the broker-dealer being responsible to give the shares. That sleight of hand is a Fngr ruling. They have the power to make that ruling. So the lawyer will argue, Your Honor, for 3 years, we've stood ready to give Richard, and I'm not picking on you, I'm just using your name, to give Richard his shares of Nexbridge, but he never asked for them. So after 3 years, Your Honor, we feel like our responsibility, we can't keep this on our books forever, so we've closed it out. It clearly doesn't matter to him. He hasn't asked for it, and he doesn't value his shares, so we've closed him out. That's one argument they're going to make, and I think they're going to win on that argument. Second argument they're going to make. Nexbridge is a private company, but Fngr calls it a public company. So why not just move the short position over and reconcile it when Nexbridge starts trading? Again, I disagree with this argument, but I think the judge who is more focused on DEI and hating Trump is going to go along with it. The third thing is they're going to ask a simple question, Your Honor, even if we do accept responsibility for this, what have the clients lost? What is the harm that happened? And our lawyer, if we can afford one, will say, oh, well, there's a short squeeze, Your Honor. It could have squeezed. It was going up. Your Honor is going to say sayonara. I don't care about some speculative short squeeze. We're here to talk about the issues. And I guarantee you, any lawyer on our side will back off of that argument right away. Well, Your Honor, our clients bought the stock thinking they could liquidate the stock, and trading stopped. Well, are you alleging that Fngr did something illegal? Yes, Your Honor. Well, show me, prove that. Well, under such and such a rule, is the rule on their books? Yes. Do they have the right to enforce that rule? Yes. Who asked them to take this action? Well, Your Honor, we understand by evidence presented that 40 different broker-dealers called in and said that they would have trouble settling these trades by Tuesday when this would go extinct. Well, all right. So we could argue that Fngr did the right thing. So what is this complaint about? Well, the brokerage firms never gave our clients their stock. Well, you just told me that your client never asked for the stock. There's still 60 million there. I'm confused. So they'll probably just say, well, let's agree to disagree. They'll move on. What is Nexbridge worth? It's not worth much right now. It can't even really get financing. It can't really do anything. And this is because the criminals, a lot of them are on Twitter, have tortuously interfered. They have threatened the lives of people at Nexbridge. They've threatened the lives and the health of people at University Lands. They're trapped. It is serious business. But the fact is, from the judge's standpoint, what's Nexbridge worth? You got to remember, Richard, lawyers are not out for justice. Lawyers are not out for truth. Lawyers are after what can be entered into evidence and accepted by the court as evidence. That's it. That's it. So an analysis that there was going to be a short squeeze, or that but for the interference of the criminals, Nexbridge already would be worth $50 a share. There's not a single court or lawyer or opposing lawyer that's going to let that come into evidence. It's speculative. Lawyers don't speculate. It leaves you to wonder how they ever get married. Marriage and love is all speculation, but that's not what lawyers do. They want facts, and they tell boring jokes. I'm not picking on Richard. I'm thinking about one of my attorneys that I hired. The worst jokes I've ever heard, and I had to listen to them. I'm not talking about Richard. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't think there's a settlement coming. There might be a settlement, but you're not going to be happy with it. I think the best that we can expect is a return of our money plus a penalty. More likely is it comes in at $1 or something, $2, and it might come to us as, free trades for the next 10 years, or you get to have your IRA here for 20 years without paying a fee. I'm telling you, I would not count on a settlement. What could be more productive, more fruitful, is lawsuits against Fngr, who I think is a criminal organization, lawsuits against broker-dealers, lawsuits against prime brokers that show racketeering and show collusion and show securities fraud. These could give enormous payouts. West Christian could be the next Peter Angelos. But West Christian isn't going to be after your justice. West Christian is going to be after coming to a point where the settlement is billions of dollars so he and his team can become billionaires. That's fine. That's how our system works. And none of us are going to be affording him, so he's going to be putting his time and real money at risk, unlike that receiver, no risk at all. So those avenues, I think, could be highly remunerative. But ask yourself, how long did the asbestos case take? How long did the tobacco case take? How long did the tanning waste case take up there in Maine with John Revolta? I just don't see it. I wouldn't count on it. Now, Richard, I want to give you some hope. Of course, you don't have the money, probably. I'm not picking on you. I don't have the money. But if you have 16 grand, you know, I'm going to lose all of these. I'm going to lose all of these if I go. Luke Grasso, who would have thought the U.S. debt is unsustainable? Thanks, Elon. Well, you know, Lou, none of the Democrats worry about it. None of the Democrats worry about it. So you can be sarcastic to, which I agree with, to Elon, but Trump just ramped that. Biden just ramped that spending up massively. Trump ran up spending too. Look, we can blame. Obama did, you know, we can blame and blame and blame. The last president I know of who was fiscally responsible was Jimmy Carter, not Reagan, not Bush, not Clinton, briefly Clinton, not George W. Bush, not Obama. Trump tried to be, but I would have to say he didn't do it either. And then Biden came and blew the socks off it. But that's our credit-based system. That's our debt-based system. In order for it to continue to function, they have to create debt out of thin air. They have to continue to grow debt. And debt is slavery. And we go along with it because we argue about how Trump is orange and he mistreats women. We don't care that Tara Reid puts out evidence that she was finger raped and forced against a wall by Senator Joe Biden and said, come on, you know you like it. You know you like me. We don't care about that because he's a Democrat. He's great. He doesn't mistreat women. Only Donald Trump mistreats women. We got to stop doing this. This system is built for the banksters. They own the government. They own the media. They own the arms suppliers. They own our food. They own everything. And we're going to argue, we're going to get mad that Trump is an asshole. Thanks, Elon. It's one way to do it, but it misses what's going on. It misses what's going on. I don't think Elon can stop government spending. I think we're going to grow our on the books debt, it'll go to 100 trillion, probably to 120, 150 trillion. Because everybody around the world wants to believe the dollar and the US financial system with this can all continue. And we'll blame it on Trump. Well, who we have to blame it is ourselves. We have to do that. I don't know what's going to replace this system, but any physically closed system, you cannot have unlimited growth. When they came over to the Hudson River, when they came over to the Potomac Bay, the boats, as they put boats off to shore, the tenders, as we call them now, off to shore, the boats could barely get through the water because the oysters were stacked so high. And oysters were the size of dinner plates. Well, they had run out of oysters in the Thames, destroyed it. But here they had 2 new estuaries with oysters. They're almost all gone now. But now humankind can't move anywhere. We're treating the world like we treated the oysters in the New York Bay and the Potomac Bay. And we're consuming everything for the greed of a few banks. This system cannot stand. And you can make fun of Elon, but at least he's calling attention to the unsustainability of the debt. I'm not even sure Trump understands it. So I give Elon credit for that. I do think Trump understands it, by the way. But what Trump's answer is we have to bring manufacturing and income back to the United States so we can pay down our debt. Fine as far as it goes. But I think it misses a broader view that the Earth might be reaching its limits to allow the compounding of debt and the compounding of slavery, basically, monetary slavery, across all populations. How are we going to grow, quote, grow to pay all that back? It's the flaw in the system, and it might be why the Bible called for, and I guess it was the Torah, called for the forgiveness of debt every 7 years. I don't know. But we've got to restart. A lot of debt's going to be wiped out. A lot of assets are going to be wiped out. It's unsustainable. And that's why I think, going back to Richard Kay, for $16,000, you can buy 500 ounces of silver, have it delivered to your home so you don't pay storage, or put it in storage. Sometime in the next 6 to 7 years, in my opinion, that 500 ounces of silver, which currently trades 1 ounce of gold for 90 ounces of silver. So in other words, about 6 ounces, that monster box of silver represents about 6 ounces of gold. I think there'll come a time when that monster box, I think it'll be equivalent in a spike, but maybe it'll be equal to 250 ounces of gold. And I bet you'll be surprised at that time. You can buy a home, Richard. You can buy a home. Maybe 100 ounces of silver buys a median priced house. I don't know where you live. the median home price right now in the United States is 400,000. If we assume that the economy has a hard time for the next decade, yet the currency also goes down. So let's assume that the median home goes to $500,000. Well, if you have one monster box of silver and silver goes to $1,000 an ounce, you can buy a house. Oh, silver, it's small, it's never that. Well, let me suggest to you, pick one of the numbers that you think in a reset where gold can be. Let's pick one of the lower numbers, $20,000 an ounce, 25,000. I'll use 20,000 an ounce. If the gold silver ratio goes back to the historic Roman Empire, British Empire, the French for a while, how much silver comes out of the ground versus gold, it's actually better than this. But let's say it goes to 16 to 1. That equals a silver price of $1,250 an ounce. That's how you buy your home. Not with MMTLP, not with GTII, not with any of these others. It's buying silver and sitting on it and meanwhile getting the rest of your life in order. Yeah, and look, I'm trying to trade some stocks so I can buy some silver. But if you want to buy a home free and clear, sitting right in front of you is the only trade of your lifetime. Buy silver at $30. I actually think silver will go to $3,000 an ounce. 3,000. You can buy 2 homes. But I really appreciate it, Richard. Now I was going to show you something. That's why I went back up. What was I going to show you? I was going to show you something. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. William called the bounce this morning. I asked my wife for a little bouncy. I'm not married. Let's look at some prices. Look at that, SMH. Now you got to tell me where I want. I said I probably said $1.60, 165, but I called 170, 175. I told you have to pick your number. I might have even said lower. But anyway, the concept worked. You could have purchased. Of course, they didn't get to $1.70 because they know that's what humans do. They pick round numbers. But the low was $170.11. And now look at SMH, 186. That, my friends, is capitulation. Capitulate. NASDAQ is green. S&P is green. Dow is about to turn green. Happy days are here again. Happy days are here again. GBUX 904. 904 bid, 906 ask. Very low volume though, 35,000. 35,000. All right, let's go. I think I asked. So Adam Sharp wrote an article, Bathwater, Baby, and Silver. Crashes like this are fire sale scenarios. Everything goes. For the most part, it doesn't matter how cheap or insulated the asset is. Even hedges like gold and silver get sold. Panic rules the day. This is the stage where leverage unwinds, and it does so violently. And in other words, all the people who were long stocks on margin with debt either sell or get liquidated. That's the one thing I'd be cautious about. There could be a hedge fund or two out there that get liquidated tonight or tomorrow or Wednesday. But we'll find out later. Price becomes irrelevant. Getting out is the only thing that matters. Those who owned ETFs that are 2x or 3x long sell in a panic. All of this leverage unwinding has a cascading effect across markets. Algorithmic traders magnify the moves. All right, now this is his point of view. I expect the broad market to temporarily bounce once the bulk of the leverage is flushed out, but the larger downtrend should last for a while longer. American stocks remain wildly overvalued and could have further to fall. That's interesting. So his view is what I'm saying, minus the blow off top. And he could be right. I just think we're going to have an up cycle, the last up cycle of your lifetime that is swift and easy. So he's calling for a crash phase now. All right, I'm not going to read anymore. How and what to buy. Oh, listen to this. Gold and silver could fall further in the days to come. I started putting cash to work today, buying Sprott Physical Silver Trust and Newmont Gold, NEM, down by 8% on the day. I'm gonna get for you a list of miners soon. He also mentions the Sprott Physical Gold Trust, which is PHYS. Anyway, let's leave it there. No, sarcasm's fine, Lou. Sarcasm's fine. I'm just saying you, and I do it too. I get caught up in this and that, but we're missing. It's not one president against the other. It's not Democrat. They're all basically one party anyway. It's the banks. They need the government to continue to issue debt so they can continue to get rich. And they create money out of thin air when you spend on your credit card. They create money out of thin air when you borrow to buy your house. They create money out of thin air when you borrow to buy your car. And they just need it to keep going. So that's all I was trying to get across. It's not a lot of questions. Let me see if there's anything else that I can share with you that's not a big long ass article. I don't want to read a bunch of articles. Let's look at how the market's trading. And now Goldman Sachs, time to start scaling in. Goldman's head of risk turns bullish. Oh, God. It's so predictable. For much of the past 5 days, markets have been desperate for some guidance. The S&P lost about $7 trillion in 3 trading sessions. In an email blast to Goldman's trading clients, Goldman's Josh Schifrin, perhaps the most important trader on the bank's desk, who also is the bank's chief strategy officer, he just turned bullish at Goldman Sachs. It's time to start scaling in. Risk assets. I've been negative, but now I'm bullish. I've been blind, but now I can see. Time to start scaling in. This is direct quotes from his report. It feels terrible at the moment, but I expect this to be a temporary period and prices to be higher in 6 to 12 months. I think the tails are big in both directions, and Adina's is getting bigger. On one hand, there is, and so is Robert Cook's, to be fair. On one hand, there is the chance for a global trade war. On the other, negotiations can lead to lower barriers. My view is negativity is very high right now, and these prices will prove to be an opportunity. But it is important to scale, recognizing the enormous uncertainty. Selling out of the money puts is another reasonable strategy given high levels of volatility. He put this out at 1:10 p.m. today. The SPOOs have surged 70 points. Thank God for Goldman. Thank God for Goldman. BlackRock's Fngr says most CEOs are telling him we're already in a recession. What, are you blind? Trump says don't be weak, don't be a panicking. Trump urges Americans to hold tight. I don't know what else I can talk to you about. Oh my gosh. I don't want to read that out loud. There is Basher for hire. I don't want to talk about GTIN. I don't want to talk about it, but you can check on Basher for hire with fur spelled fur on Twitter, and you can see the Bashers at work gloating, gleefully gloating. All right, we've run out of things to talk about, so I may I may sign off, but let's see if there's anything in the news. I like Maria Bartiromo. Joe Rogan's gay? I didn't know that. I don't see any more news to talk about. So let's go through some of, do I think GBUX is running out of steam? No, I think it's just starting. Here's the negatives on GBUX. What are the negatives? The negatives are it's worth $1 billion in market cap. That's an overpriced stock based on what we know so far. But stocks get overpriced. It's okay. But that's a risk. The other thing on GBUX that's a negative is they have to execute this complicated plan. And I guess we have to acknowledge the risk that the other side is very powerful in terms of selling and suppressing price. But what are the positives in GBUX? The positive is in GBUX, and by the way, this is already a hugely successful trade that Ham recommended from 70 cents 9 weeks ago, onward. So it's already 10x, 12x from where he recommends. So it's already a successful trade. Now, what I think the positives are for GBUX, apparently there's just one or two of these underfunded day trading shorts out of Miami or Boca Raton that are trapped here, number one. Number two, the stock went to 8 to 10, and then they suppressed it in the last day of trading in February, and now it's back up here. So they didn't cover. They're still in trouble. They're in worse trouble, number two. Number three, the numbers, as I understand it, are there's a float of over 1 million shares, and there's a short of over 2 million shares. That dynamic sets up a powerful squeeze potential. Number 5, GBUX has announced its financing. It can still be read, with some needing some follow through, but it's $212 million for 30% of the company with stock issued by shareholders, not by the company. So these are all good things. So is the company worth $1 billion? I don't know. You could make the case it's worth $1 billion, but I would say it's fully priced, depending on the execution and the income they're going to create and generate. But fundamentally, in a squeeze situation with a trap short, the price runs away from the fundamentals. If they buy in 2 million, 2.4, 2.5, it could be up to 2.6 million shares over the next days, the stock's going to go very much higher. So I think GBUX is the best chance at seeing a short squeeze in front of us as we've ever had. There's no toxic financing in there, so there's none of the big shorts protecting their own ass. There's a small float. They don't need us. Now, I haven't talked to anybody there, but yeah, I think GBUX is just pausing today. I think in half an hour and at 3 o'clock, you're going to get some action in GBUX, and maybe at 4 o'clock. This stock, if there's any truth to the size of the naked short, it has the potential to go up. Is it risky? Yeah, it's risky. I would say in terms of immediacy, it's very high on the scale. In terms of the potential for a short squeeze, it's high on the scale. But it's expensive. So there's a risk. I would suggest that if the stock closes above 10 today, the 12-month high is 10.05. If the stock somehow closes above 10 today, tomorrow could be really exciting, but I don't think it has to close above 10 for tomorrow to be exciting. Is it risky? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's risky. But I would say that's the play that has the most potential to work tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. The other one is Nixie. They made an announcement today about appointing somebody to the board. And it read, is tremendous, a tremendous guy coming on the board. Never seen a more talented guy, and bridging all areas of expertise and bringing talent and contacts, and it's great. It is good. I don't mean to dismiss it, but it's not. I don't think in and of that itself that's going to move the stock. But Nixie, I do think at some point has to follow on the news that they announced about share buybacks, about acquisitions, all of that. There has to be a follow-on. So I would give Nixie the chance of having a bit of a news-driven / investor-driven run soon. Just like GBUX. I think it's going to be similar timing. But the difference is I think GBUX has a legitimate chance, I don't know, 60, 70, 80% of actually having a squeeze of some kind. Nixie has that chance. Some of my friends are telling me it can go to $20, $25. But I also think Nixie can stub its toe and only go to $4, $5. That's still a great trade. Still a great trade. The one that I remain excited about is Railtown, RLAIF. What are we getting on? 8 weeks since they made their announcement? I don't know a lawyer out there that's going to let the company go too much longer before we have to get news. My premise on Railtown is, absent the frozen in time nature, the quiet period of an M&A activity seeking approval from the Canadian SEC, the stock would be higher today. So once news comes out, that gives a chance for all the buyers who may be sitting on the sideline because they're precluded from buying shares. So, it's just obvious. I've gone through it before, but it's in the news announcements. But any of the big investors in Railtown can't buy anything. Any of the big investors in the companies in AI partnership can't buy anything. Canaccord can't talk to their investors. You got to get news before that any buying, if there is buying, can come in. And my opinion with Railtown is the company will be worth more than 30 cents. 30 cents is the value of an R&D company. What is the value of a company that's in the production phase, that has revenue, that's growing? I don't know. I don't understand AI that well. But I believe it could be 4x, 5x, 10x. Once, if I gotta add, any kind of news finally follows through on what was implied by the PR. When does that happen? I think it could be any time now, because we've been, I think, 7 or 8 weeks. Lawyers won't let the company go much longer without saying something. So I think Railtown is a pretty exciting one to be in, but it's quiet, so no one is. GBUX, I think, is the quickest test of the theory that a squeeze could occur. Will it work? We'll find out. Nothing's ever worked before, it feels like. And I would argue GBUX already has worked. It's a lot like GTII. GBUX went from well under $1 to $9. It's a hell of a move. It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. It's been dead since the burst this morning. Yeah, because two dynamics come in. People like you and me buy all we can with the cash, and then we can't buy anymore. So we're fully invested. The sellers can sell endless amounts in Adina Friedman's markets. She's totally disinterested. Sellers can sell endless amounts of stock that do not exist. They can do it today, they can do it tomorrow, they can do it the next day, they can do it Thursday, they can do it Friday, they can do it for as long as the prime broker allows them to enter the trades. It's just a fact. In the case of GBUX, there is no motivated, powerful short, probably, because there's no toxic financing out there, probably, from the evidence. The story is there's 1 or 2 shorts out of Boca Raton or near thereabouts that are trapped. So the theory to test here is maybe the shorts aren't that powerful. They're gonna fight it, but they're not that powerful. But that burst of buying ends because we can't buy anymore. Now they're trying to get it down. It hasn't gone down very much. You should, by the way, Benjamin, you shouldn't be in the stock if this kind of sell-off is going to cause you to worry about the upside. I mean, I get it. Everything we've ever been in eventually sells off. But if you don't buy this theory of GBUX, it's probably not the right stock for you. Now, the other thing that happens in a company like GBUX, it's up from $2, and day traders will come in. Day traders will come in, short the stock at $9, short the stock at $9.88. What are they selling? Nothing. They're selling stock that doesn't exist. They're selling non-located stock. Adina Friedman doesn't care. Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell doesn't care. Gary Gensler doesn't care. Robert Cook doesn't care. Nobody cares. So they just sell stock that doesn't exist. Now, they haven't been able to sell much of it, but they've sold some. And it suppresses the price. But what does that set up, Benjamin? If the stock turns up, I don't know what will make it. Where do the buyers come from? Is it news? Is it a buy-in from a prime broker? I don't know. But as the stock goes up, not only do the original 2 million shares that are short for the Boca Raton shorts, if that's where they're from, they have to start buying in. This new day trading short that came in for fun, they buy in. So it adds more fuel to the upward movement. As the price goes up, other shorts come in to sell because on the other side, Benjamin, you can only buy 500 shares or 1,000 shares. You can't keep buying. But the system, the casino as it's set up, Adina Freeman likes it when people that are like this sleazeball, basher for hire, they can sell stock through a market maker. They don't even have any assets. She doesn't care as long as women are on the board of the companies in her NASDAQ stable. As long as women are on the board of those companies as they're destroyed, she can go to sleep at night knowing she's done her job. The glorious Adina Friedman. But shorts keep selling. That's our markets, Benjamin. That's our markets. Now, in the case of GBUX, you do not have toxic financing. So with Fngr motion, they went out, the toxic people went out and they hired 3 men to bust the squeeze that was going on. Because they were protecting Lynn Partners and probably Ensign funds. There's none of that in GBUX, probably. Probably. That's the theory we're testing. Is there risk? Yeah, there's risk. We could be wrong, but it doesn't look like there's any of that. There looks like there's 2 trap shorts, is what we've heard. Is it true? I have no way of knowing. But it's behaving like that's the case. But then as it goes up, opportunistic bully day traders short it, short it, short it, short it, short it. They do this stock after stock after stock after stock. Adina never wonders, how is it that company after company goes through the hard work of getting listed on NASDAQ, and they have teams and they build business plans and they raise money, but when they come onto my stock market, I have to delist thousands of them. Why is that? Oh, well, let's not worry about that. Let's just make sure there's some more women on the boards. Yeah, that's my mission. What a nightmare. So I think GBUX is trading, in my opinion, GBUX is trading as if it's going to break out. And I think the stock could go, I mean, frankly, it could go to 90. But if over the next several days it doesn't break out because of market manipulation, I would start second guessing what I'm seeing. And $1 billion market cap is expensive. That's one of the reasons Nixie looks good. It's a very small market cap, very small. So risk reward, but what you do is maybe you have a bet on more than one place. So when one moves, you get out and sprinkle it on the others. Take some cash off the table. But no, I don't think Nixie has... it's been dead. I don't even agree with that. It's 40 million shares almost. It's not down. The low on the day is $8. And here we are at 9. I think GBUX looks pretty good, but does that mean I'm right? No, it doesn't. Does it mean it can't get collapsed? No, it doesn't. But I think I think GBUX is going to try to break $10 today. And if it does, tomorrow morning it could open at 15 or 20. But it's a gamble. I think GME is a low risk. Nightmare City. Nightmare City. I think it's completely high risk, but you want to keep believing it. It's $25, $24. It's as low as 22, as high as 25 today. And the company has a market cap of $10 billion, $10 billion. Selling game consoles in expensive retail locations where nobody goes. I don't know. I guess if you like it. It's easy to borrow. I think you've got a $20 Ron Cohen premium on GME. And before everything is said and done, I think that entire $20 will be taken out of the stock. And if you are buying GME, you should sell it if it rallies, buy it back on the dip, sell it on the rally. But I think eventually you're going to be doing that as it goes downward. It's a perfectly reasonable trading strategy. You're familiar with the stock. You think it's cheap here at 24.39. If it gets to 27, sell. Then what pulls back? That's how I would treat it. But I am telling you, GME is $20 too expensive per share. And eventually, either Robert Cohen or the shorts or both will take that $20 away from you. And if you stand like a statue for the next 6 months, next 2 years, I think that $20 is going to come out of GME. They have no strategy that is particularly special. They sell low margin products that are saturated. What's great about the story? That's my opinion. 2 p.m. margin call. Where's Ham? He's right. 2:30. Ham has a call. DJT is a low risk. DJT is that low risk? They're all risky. I just disagree with you there. DJT is 17. Yeah, I would say DJT. They have a market cap of $4 billion. That's still pretty high for a messaging app. But from what I know, that seems like it's an inexpensive price. But I would be buying the dips, selling the rips in these names, not getting buy and hold. But if you want to trade yesterday's papers, if it's what you are comfortable with, that's where you should trade. But I wouldn't buy and hold these stocks. Anyway, Ham has a call in 9 minutes, so I'm going to leave it to you to go to that call. Let's see where GBUX is. 905. That's the bid. 9,000 shares on the bid. 9,632 to buy. 913 ask. 100 shares to sell. Maybe 230 is when GBUX starts showing a buy-in. This could be the start of something. No, I'm going to I don't know how to do it. I don't have the number. So I'm going to just sign off and let you guys call in. It's hit the numbers on Twitter. So I don't know. Maybe I don't use Twitter, Lou. Maybe I can find the call. I don't see the call. I see the recording of yesterday's call. So I don't know the phone number. I don't see the number. I don't know where to find the number. So anyway, Lou, I guess hey Barbara, it's not my birthday. It would have been my dad's birthday today. That's what I said. It's his it would have been his 91st birthday. But thank you. All right, I'll let maybe Benjamin can get it to me. If he does, I'll call in. Ray Dan, you're an Aries. Happy birthday to you. All right, Giannis is going to do it. All right, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign off. Go to Giannis, sign in to Giannis, and sign in on X. So I'll sign off. Thank you, guys.